All right, what's going on, everybody? This is the Negro Shotty here with Rex Sparks. We're going to be talking about the Defenders, Netflix's it's kind of a culmination of their first four TV shows: Luke Cage, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist. If you haven't seen the Defenders yet, then you might want to click off the video because we're most likely going to get into spoilers for season one of the Defenders. And yeah, if you just don't want to get spoiled, you might want to click off the video because we're probably going to get into everything. So we're going to be discussing pretty much everything that happened in the show and just giving you guys our thoughts on season one of the Defenders. And I've always wanted to do reviews for like all the shows, but I think the only one that I've done on this channel was Luke Cage, and I don't think that really got too many views or anything at the time. So now at least I can kind of talk a lot more about these specific characters. Because I also wanted to do one on Iron Fist when that came out, but I felt like everybody on the internet had already lampooned on Ben Jones and Iron Fist how mediocre that show was, at least to everybody else. I mean, I thought it was okay, but after this, I want to say like after this show, even I think it might just be Finn Jones at this point.
Yeah, yeah, because this boy was hella weak. He was the weakest link of the entire group.
I mean, maybe it's this dude's acting or something, but it was like as soon as we get to this guy, because in the first few episodes, they have it split up to where it's like you see you're kind of bouncing between the two. You're bouncing between the four characters. You're bouncing between where Luke Cage is, where Jessica Jones is, and everything. And the series it starts off with Danny Rand, and what's the chick name? Colleen, and
yeah.
They're going after this guy that they think that can help them, help them to defeat the Hand or whatever. And I mean, it just starts off with Danny Rand getting his butt kicked, pretty much.
Yeah,
And
it's like
throughout the
that's
series,
not.
he just gets his butt kicked throughout most of the series. And I just like most of the time he's acting like, especially with him and Matt Murdock and Luke Cage at one point when they get into the restaurant, you start to realize this character really, really sucks. Or maybe it's the way that they wrote him, but he seems very childish in comparison to the rest of the group.
Yeah, besides him getting bodied by almost every damn body, he's like he does kind of come across as immature compared to everyone else who actually seems like they're adults, and he's like the only kid in the entire group, which does not help. It's like his character is just really written kind of poor, to be perfectly honest with you. And then when he gets captured, that's just like, okay, I'm done. I'm zonked out. Whatever happens to him happens to him. It'll be a lot better than him getting murdered by everybody.
I mean, his character is so dumb. He's so simple. Because at one point, like by the end of during the finale. Well, actually, not during the finale. It's like the episode before that. Before he opens, I guess you can say Kung Lao or whatever that place was at the end, right? Mm-hmm. And she was trying to get him to basically open the door. This idiot is going to fight. Like, why would you fight her right near the door? Like, you can tell that she was trying to get you to accidentally punch the door because they explained in the series how the Iron Fist is the only person that can open the door. So why in the world are you going to punch at her? And you're like she's right near the door, and she basically kind of like moves around him, and he ends up opening the door for them.
Yeah, pretty much goaded him into doing
the key to the door, right?
Yeah, she pretty much goaded him into doing what they wanted him to do. So, and
like hold on, because I get that his character, because like I said before, I get that because I said before that he's childish. I get that it kind of makes sense that he is a little bit because you know his circumstances of him uh of him you know during the plane crash and everything when he was a kid, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But even so, even with those circumstances, the man, like every time this dude gets angry, man, it's like he's about to, it's like he's almost about to throw a temper tantrum and get mad at everyone else. Like something about, okay, it must be something about Finn Jones' acting. Like I wanted to give this guy a second chance because maybe Iron Fist, you know, maybe the director or whoever was working on that was the issue. But I mean here he's kind of the same. He's kind of the same character. Like it's not even that he even really grew as a character even throughout this series. Really,
It's like he almost stayed stagnant throughout the entire thing, and including this. It's like, oh, okay, like everyone else kind of matured throughout, but except you. You're still stuck in stage one.
well the thing is, because like there, I think the only thing I really liked about him was his interaction with the other characters. Because Luke Cage, like once he starts explaining all this mystical stuff to him, Luke Cage looking at him like, "What in the world? No, like, what are you guys talking about with this chi and this magic and all this other crap? And you talking about fighting dragons and stuff? Like, I love Luke Cage's reaction to this character, and I love when they first meet and the Iron Fist, you know, Danny punches him and everything. He's punching him and stuff, and it's like doing nothing to Luke Cage, and he's doing all that kung fu. I just sat there looking at that. I was like, yeah, man, that kung fu ain't doing nothing for you today, boy. And Luke Cage punched him once, and he like flew back.
I'm like, you know what? You know, if it didn't work the first 5 times, what makes you think it's gonna happen the 168th time? And he kept getting worked until he used the Iron Fist. I'm like, okay, the one thing you can do against him. Okay.
I mean, that power is so. Maybe it's the way they're just doing it. It's just
It's
lame to
lame.
me.
It's lame.
Lame. Like in the cartoons, from what I remember of that character, you know, seeing him for the first time, I think it was in either the Mighty Avengers or I think it was like one of the Spider-Man cartoons.
It was
But
Ultimate.
it seemed like it looked a lot cooler in the cartoon rather than it does in live action. I just don't think maybe the character doesn't work in live action, or maybe it's just not going to work as well. Because as soon as the fist starts glowing, like you can tell when Danny's about to get angry and start using the Iron Fist. Like as soon as his fist starts glowing, I was just sitting there like, glow fist activate, because it's like the dude just gets manhandled by everybody. Like dude was taking major L's throughout the entire series. Now, Luke Cage. Let's talk a little bit more about Luke Cage, because that, like I said, in that first episode, I want to say maybe the first 2 episodes or whatever, because the characters haven't met each other yet. The show kind of switches back and forth between all these characters, and it does this thing where it does this like transition between scenes and stuff. And you said you like the transitions that they did. I thought I thought that it made the like I personally thought it made the show feel cheap. I didn't like them. There was something about it that just made the show feel cheap. Like I can understand why they did it a little bit, but even something else that I didn't really notice. Did you notice that they kind of changed the color correction on the camera for each of the different characters? So
Yeah, that was the only thing that really annoyed me. I'm like, oh, okay, we get it. Luke is yellow, Jessica's purple or bluish.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really notice that until I heard somebody bring it up.
I mean,
like, because even with the Luke Cage TV show, I believe they did the same thing where like his show, it's more like it's a lot more lighter. Like it's like you said, it's yellow.
Yeah, it's
And Danny Rand's like the first part of the episode, the first episode, you can tell like that color just makes it look washed out, right? It makes
mhm.
it kind of look like a Zack Snyder film
Oh,
almost.
oh God.
But
uh,
something I noticed early on, and they did this, I want to say throughout maybe the first 3 or 4 episodes, was like every time Luke Cage came on the scene,
yeah,
they had to have some music in the
the
background.
rap in the background. Like, oh my
They had to
God,
have rap or jazz. They had to have music, some type of music in the background.
we
And
get it.
like usually that wouldn't bother me. And I guess maybe they did that because they wanted to keep they kind of want to keep that same kind of tone and same type of aesthetic that they had for the TV for the Luke Cage TV series. But
Mhm.
it felt kind of weird. It's like very noticeable because all the other characters you don't have this music really playing at the beginning. I mean, the only other show that really kind of did something with like the music in the background was like the introduction, like the first episode of Iron Fist, where Outcast is playing. Danny was listening to Outcast as he was walking up to Rand Enterprises to try to get back in. So it just felt kind of weird. Like I kind of understand what they were trying to go for, but it's like, yeah, this is really noticeable here.
It's kind of janky. It's honestly kind of janky. I like the transition, except it's just when Luke Cage always came up. I'm like, you got to stop it,
I'm like, oh
stop
snap!
it.
We like every time it could, like I said, they're switching between all these characters, right? And like
Uh-huh.
every time they switch to Luke Cage, I'm like, oh snap! Time to go back to rap. Time to go back to a rap song. Or, what rap song are they gonna use? What are the different jazz songs or whatever they're gonna use? I mean, they use. I want to say maybe they used another song somewhere at that scene where Elektra beats pretty much Elektra knocks everybody out, kills Stick, and like at the beginning, I think it was like at the beginning of that episode, or maybe at the last part of the episode or whatever, they used a rock song. So that was like I think that was like maybe the one of the only other times that they actually use music in the show.
And not until that and the last bit where they're all fighting, they had
Oh
another.
yeah. The elevator scene with Jessica Jones and she goes down. Yeah.
Yeah. So it had its musical moments within the show, but the transitions, it it's so. I like them, but music, music, like
I
stop.
mean, I can't say that it's a bad thing, but it's kind of noticeable. It was just like because maybe I'm nitpicking, but I don't know.
It was okay for what it was. I'm not gonna hate
And let's see. So we've covered kind of Luke Cage in the first part, and Danny Rand. Like I said, I love Luke Cage. I love this series, and the character they stay true to the character, even on this show. Uh, he was the one with the moral center. Like if Captain America is like the moral center of the Avengers, and I heard somebody say this earlier in their review, so I'm a kind of regurgitate what they said at this point. But it's like Luke Cage, he basically is the moral center of the group when you think about it. I mean, I guess between him and maybe Danny Rand, but Danny, like I said before, Danny is just too immature.
it.
But
Yeah,
him and Danny are like the most moral out of the group because Jessica Jones is always gonna have that no care attitude. Period.
that lone wolf personality about her. So it's just like, okay, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I'm just here just because this is relevant in my case. This is the only reason why I'm here. Oh, more fortune cookie nonsense. Okay, you know what? Cool. I'm out. I'm out, bitches. Bye.
Yeah, man. I love. That's another thing. I loved her reaction to just all this crap. Like as soon as they start introducing all this stuff, and then they'll start to introduce another thing. So like they'll introduce the hand, and they talk about chi and all this stuff, and she's like, are y'all serious with this fairy tale stuff? And then Stick comes in and he starts introducing more stuff, and she's like, okay, I'm out, I'm
She's
good.
like,
I'm
she's
just
like,
trying to crack my case. I'm not like, we are not the Avengers. Like this is like above my pay grade here. I'm gone. So I love her reaction to all of that.
you guys said resurrected at least 3 times. Resurrected just.
Yes. Oh my god. Like that's the thing about the writing in this, because outside of a few scenes, I want to say like outside of a few scenes at like I want to say maybe like the latter half of the show, like maybe the last 2 episodes or whatever, I started to notice that some of the writing was a little cheesy. Like they were using kind of like cheesy lines and stuff. Some of the lines were a little cheesy, but I do like like I said, I like the interaction between the characters and the jokes and just the reactions to all this new stuff that they're being introduced to, especially like I said, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage.
Yeah, they're both, since those are the only two who actually do know each other. I mean, outside the series, even before, like when they meet up again, it's like,
Yeah,
oh hey, what's up? But it's
and
like,
then the other two are just like, oh, you know her, you know this person.
yeah, it's like those two only had the only interaction from each other. But still, it's like when they, I love the fact that when they get told all this, they're like, this is insane. This doesn't make any sense. It's like, this is some bullshit. This is absolute some BS. So I love that. I do that. I even like the fact they even bring up Jessica's like, why didn't you call me? Why don't you call? I'm like, really? Miss, I don't pick up anyone's calls. You're really gonna make that joke? Really?
True, because it's like her character has this whole thing about her where like she acts like she really doesn't care, but like deep down inside, she can't help but care. Like you can even tell at the beginning of the show where like the woman comes to her apartment for help, asking her to try to find her husband, try to figure out what her husband is up to. And she's like, look, I'm not gonna take your case. I like he's probably cheating on you or something, just go back home, everything will be fine. But then she knows, like you can just tell, like she has some type of
Morality about her.
she does care to an extent. Like she's
She
not gonna
has some.
turn everyone away.
She does have some sense of morality to her. And I also notice her office door still isn't fixed.
I figured as much. I mean, she just lives in a, I don't know, like she just
I get it. She lives
her
in a.
apartment.
I get it. She lives in a shithole, but still, it's like, dude, your door still ain't fixed.
Yeah.
It's like subtle nuances to their own shows. I do like that. I do appreciate that. And then you got freaking Matt Murdock and his damn like I'm done with
Hold on. Before we talk about Matt and before we go a little bit more into Jessica Jones,
all
I
right.
gotta say this about Luke Cage, because in the first part of the show, when as soon as he gets out, here comes Rosario Dawson once
Mm-hmm.
again. Claire, reprising the role as Claire, which is basically Nick Fury of the Netflix universe. You might as well go and just see that. Yeah, he got some hot coffee, so that happened. And
I
like
know.
the whole time during the series, like I was just waiting. I was waiting and hoping that we could get a scene. We could get a scene with Misty Knight, Rosario Dawson, and Jessica Jones in the same room with Luke Cage, and just looking at all of them. And it's just like this silent,
Yeah,
this
it,
silence in the room or whatever, because it's just like he slept with all these women.
it's like, dude, really? Come on, like, really? He's the Bruce Wayne of the group, confirmed. Luke Cage is Bruce Wayne, confirmed.
Well,
He's never gonna get caught.
technically, Matt Murdock is technically. I mean, technically, Daredevil is Batman. I mean, technically, but
You're right.
I say that because they did make a scene. There was a scene where Luke Cage gets on top of Jessica Jones in order to shield her from. I think somebody
Bullets.
was like firing a machine gun or something or whatever during one of the scenes or whatever, and like they get and he gets on top of her, and she's like, "You remember this?" And he's like, he said something that was back to her, but I like that they have little references between the different series because even if you're somebody who has never seen the other series and are just have like you decided to watch the Defenders, like this is your first introduction to all these characters. I feel like they have a lot here, a lot of fan service for the people who have been following those series. But then I feel like they also establish these characters as standalone characters for this series. If that makes any sense, like you can get a good feel of basically what these characters are like or what they were like in their series on their own.
Yeah, so it's almost like you don't have to go back and watch everything to get what exactly is going on with this.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a case where like you watched Avengers and then let's say you watch Thor Ragnarok and you're trying to figure out what these other characters are like or whatever. Well, I guess that's kind of a bad example. I guess maybe like something like Avengers, like let's say you've only seen Avengers and then you go and watch like Civil War or whatever. You're gonna be you might be confused about Ant-Man or who's another character like the Falcon or whatever. You'll be a little confused about where like what these characters are about, what these characters stand for and everything like that. Whereas with this show, like I said, they do a good job of establishing these characters as characters that, if you were to just watch the Defenders series, you could still get into it.
Yeah, exactly. But with Marvel, it's like
now we can talk about Matt Murdock because I know you wanted to talk about him earlier. I'm sorry for cutting you off there.
Sorry, it's good. It's good. I was just gonna say like you can't not start as phase 1 and then just come in phase 3. It's Civil War and be like, what I don't know who's who. You can't do that anyway.
Trust me, there's people that probably do that.
I know because it's like I ain't looking at all that. I am not gonna go back and look at all that history just so I can see what the hell is going on here. No, I'll go in blind. I'll go in partly blind. Okay.
I mean, that's what some people probably feel about Star Wars. I know I don't want to go back and watch like the old films.
I'm not. I can't be. I cannot be bothered with that. Like I cannot. Anyway. Matt Murdock, Mr. I don't want to be Daredevil anymore, but I got pushed back into it and I still do parkour, Murdock. I'm like, this man ain't Daredevil no more, but he still continues to do parkour and shit like that. I get you stay in shape, but really kind of goes against what you've been doing. We get a little glimpse of him. We get a little taste of him, like getting back into that groove of being Daredevil again. And it's like, I can't do this no more. I can't. He kind of gets pushed back into it just because it's like, okay, this is going to be all our problems at this point. Remember, he wanted nothing to do with this originally back at the
back at the
restaurant.
Yeah.
Back at the restaurant, even before then, it's like, oh, gunshot. When they were in the building, he's like, gunshot. I'm all over the place still. It's like, he grabs Jessica's scarf and be like, oh, let me tie this around my head and let me parkour my ass up there while she takes the elevator. I'm like, you could have just taken the damn elevator. You didn't have to go all like Watch Dogs 2 on our asses or whatever.
He really did. I'll say, like, wow.
I'm just sitting here like, this man really just went Watch Dogs on our ass while she took the elevator and calling him an asshole for having her scarf on his head. Oh, yeah. I'm like, he's like, it's your scarf. So I love the dialogue, the wittiness between the characters when they do stuff like that.
Between the characters, yeah.
Like stuff like that. So when they were
when she first sees him in the Daredevil costume, And she's like,
It's like,
what did you say? Like nice ears or something like that.
and I see it, and he's like, they're horns. Oh my god! So the wittiness in the writing that way, like that, the writing with that is really good. And when we see all them fighting together, I'm like, this, this,
Yeah,
this, this,
that fight in a Midland Circle.
yeah,
That's the name of the place they went to.
yeah. When they were first battling, I'm like, this is it. This is what this is it. This is it. Like yeah.
Man, as soon as they got to that fight, man, they had. I think maybe they had maybe like a couple of hallway fights. Man, I can't help it. These Netflix shows, as soon as they get to that, I'm like, hallway fight. They're just beating the crap out of people and stuff.
They like hallway fights. Oh yeah, I forgot. Like this man Danny comes up in here and says and proclaims like, I'm gonna get you for destroying my family. I'm gonna do all this shit. The hand will be destroyed. And this man comes in here
Yeah,
with a
man, the
suit and
two.
yellow.
Oh my god.
This man comes in here with a suit and yellow shoes. I'm like, dude.
Oh yeah. Now that you
Go
mention
ahead.
that,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
you mention that because Luke Cage, he basically like they confront each other at one point. Like I was talking about earlier, when they first meet, you know, they get into a fight, whatever, and then Claire basically brings the two characters together and makes them talk it out and everything. And Luke Cage basically like, listen, man, you come from privilege, you got all this money or whatever. Like instead of trying to fight people on the lower level, you should try to fight them in the boardroom. And so that's why he goes to the Midland Circle. And I like this speech, and I like the conflict between these two characters because if you know anything about the comics, these two characters usually work together as the heroes for hire. And in this, it doesn't seem as much as like I would think that these two characters would like have a lot in common at first, but they didn't. But like throughout the show, they do have their moments where they start to kind of bond together. So hopefully they'll get to that point to where they're actually working together like legitimately or something.
Yeah. When they first start out, it's like they really don't gel well, like they could be, but there are instances where they're like they do work together. So probably if we get a season 2 or ones in each other's show again, they like to do that. They'll probably do it. They'll probably like gel a lot more. But this, you can see it happening though.
I mean, honestly, given the fact that people didn't really like Iron Fist, I wouldn't be surprised because
Yeah,
people like Luke Cage, right?
yeah.
But they didn't really like Iron Fist. I mean, maybe putting the two in the same show and just calling it Heroes for Hire and just
Oh my.
doing that as season 2 of both of those shows. Maybe that's the best way to take it because I really just don't know if they know what they're doing with Danny Rand's character at this point, because even at the end of the show, I mean, I know that this show isn't really centered on him, but it's like he's still kind of the same character by the end of the show, where he's very like he's unsure. Like even at the end of Iron Fist, it's like, my God, it's like you don't know what you. It's like you don't know what
character progression.
Like it's like he just doesn't get where he's going almost. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like he doesn't really have a good grasp on what he wants to do or whatever. Like Daredevil knows what he is. He knows, like Matt Murdock knows what he stands for. He knows what he's fighting for. But then by the end of Iron Fist, like I understand that Danny Rand, like at the beginning of the show, like he's filled with grief because Kong Lao is basically gone. You know, he was supposed to protect Kong Lao, and now everybody's dead, so he's feeling guilty about that. I understand that, but then by the end of the show, it's just like, okay, I mean, he's still that same character. And Colleen, just to get this out of the way, because we really haven't talked about this character, I still just think that she's pretty throwaway to me. They did have a reference, like I don't know if you catch the reference of her. at one point they show her boxing, like they show her, boxing or whatever.
Mhm.
They show her hitting a punching bag, and she has white gloves on because I think she's supposed to be White Tiger. I could be
Re-
wrong about that. I thought she was supposed to be like White Tiger or something.
Oh my god. Yeah, but you're right. Kind of right now, she's kind of like throwaway material. But
I mean, a lot of like
uh,
it's crazy because a lot of these outlets and stuff, they keep saying how Colleen was basically like the best part of Iron Fist. I said, oh my god, like she was annoying to me.
who's your drug dealer?
Like she was annoying throughout that entire series. I'm not gonna lie. And then they had the nerve to bring Bakudo back. I knew that. I knew Bakudo wasn't dead.
Marvel likes to do this trope with like, oh, they're dead, but no, not really, not really. Resurrection, bitch.
Yeah, and let's talk. Well, first of all, because I do need to talk about that. I do need to address that, and I need to address something else. But let's talk a little bit about Jessica Jones. We talked a little bit about that earlier, but I gotta say something about this character because a lot of people, there's some people that actually didn't like that show, and I think it's the best one out of all of them, really, between that and Luke Cage. I mean, of course, I love Daredevil, especially Daredevil season 2. But I really just love this character and her attitude about everything. And then at one point in the show where she's trying to find out more about the architect, she calls somebody up or whatever. She calls somebody up and she pretends to be like this nice, happy-go-lucky person on the phone. And then as soon as she hangs up, she's back to like this attitude of like she doesn't care, she doesn't give a crap. I love this character, and I think what's her name? Kristen Ritter.
Yeah, Kristen Ritter.
She does a great job. She's good.
Yeah,
She's amazing as that character.
to be honest, like I think what strikes Jessica Jones about to me personally, like it's the fact that she doesn't fit the norm at all. Like she really does not give a shit, but you do get that sense like she does care, but she doesn't. She won't tell you that she does, but she'll still work toward like doing good. So
Yeah, because like she doesn't consider herself a hero.
yeah, that's
Because
the yeah.
at one point she's like,
Don't
because
use the
at,
H.
at the point where she leaves the diner or whatever, she's like, she says something like, "Call me when you get a cape" or something like that to Luke Cage as she leaves the diner. She says something like
Yeah,
that, like
yeah.
call me when you get a cape or costume or something like that.
Uh,
So like she doesn't consider herself a hero, but at the same time, she really cares and she wants to help people, whether she realizes it or not. She really does have a soft spot for people.
exactly, which really works in her character, really. So, and I get other people's part of the spectrum, but I also get what her character is supposed to be, which really, really works. She doesn't. She is against that. Oh, I'm gonna do good. That do-gooder attitude that we normally would see, but
And a lot of people at the end of Jessica Jones, at the end of the season, there are probably some people that didn't like the fact that she didn't really change as a character by the end. Like she was literally the same person,
don't,
more or
yeah,
less
don't,
the same person by the end of the series, and that's okay because I think that's how the character is supposed to be.
that's how she's supposed to act. That's her character. So, yeah, but
Okay, so but before we get into what you were talking about earlier about Marvel not killing off their characters and not keeping them dead, let's talk a little bit about the Hand. I mean, what
oh,
did you think about the main villains, about
oh,
Sigourney Weaver as Alexandria?
yeah, that's her name.
Yeah, what do you think
Um,
about her and the return of Elektra?
Honestly, Sigourney Weaver does have it in her to be a good villainess, and what she brought to the table here, she did what she could, man. She did what she could and what they gave her to use, but she kind of fell flat to me. Honestly, if it had ended with her, like, oh God, they went like this kind of route, like she just strips and has a damn body suit of armor on and shit. She just does all this ninja shit. If they 3D'd that, and she just starts wrecking everybody, that would have
been too goofy though.
That would have been what?
A little too goofy, and I think they kind of did that with Luke Cage, with Luke Cage's brother and the suit.
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they?
They kind of did that already, and people, there were some people that didn't like that. So, just saying.
Yeah, but still, she should have done.
A good idea.
Yeah, but I've gotten kind of tired of the whole villain always watching their henchmen do everything while they lurk in the shadows, or they just sit on the sidelines and shit. I'm kind of
somebody
tired of that.
Somebody like the Kingpin.
I'm very, very tired of that. It's like, if you're gonna be the villain of something, I feel like you should at least like do something first, and then round 2 starts, and it's like, oh, they'll back up and be like, oh, here's my protege. I ain't gonna fight you now. We'll fight again, but I ain't gonna fight you now. As long as they do something rather than sitting on their hands in their chair, laughing maniacally and shit. You get what I'm saying?
Well, it's not like she went over the top with the character.
I know.
It's not like she went over the top with the character or whatever. But I think the difference between her and Kingpin is that Kingpin actually did something.
Exactly.
He did something like he put a car. Didn't he like shove a dude's head in the car door? Like
yes,
I can't even talk. Oh my God. He kept slamming the car door over and over on the dude's head and until with just mush on the ground. And like Cotton, then Cottonmouth at one point, Cottonmouth did something also.
Yeah, Cottonmouth did. Even Cottonmouth did something. Just do something to prove your antagonistic ways.
So you basically, I guess to sum up your feelings of that character, you wanted the character to be more active. You wanted the villain to be a little bit more active. Like she just sat there in a chair the whole time and kind of gave orders.
Yeah, just
in the background too much.
Yeah, be someone like a Tuco Salamanca from Breaking Bad. That motherfucker was crazy, and he did something, yet he commanded his people. We were shown how badass and how evil he was, and how crazy he was. Be something like, well, I won't say like that crazy, but something to the extent.
2 Mile.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to show your evilry is what I'm trying to say. And Elektra,
go ahead.
In Elektra's case, I'm kind of glad. I'm really glad that she went all postal and did like, you know what, you ain't fitting the role. I've actually been doing everything this entire series, so I'm gonna cut your head off and just be done with it. It's like, oh my God,
here's the thing with that. So hold on. Go ahead.
No. You go ahead. I've
rambled.
I rambled long enough. Personally. Sigourney Weaver did what she could with it, but it just flat. It just kind of fell flat for me. Go ahead.
Okay, here's the thing. Now, first of all, concerning the two characters, Elektra, she was one of those characters that I like. Like, listen, you're gonna think I'm weird for this. I liked her I liked the original Elektra in the Ben Affleck. I actually like that one.
Give me the gun, I'll do it myself.
Here's the thing, because in Daredevil season 2, I thought she was the weakest. I really thought she was the weakest part of that show. I thought that the episodes with her and Matt Murdock and some of the episodes that they did where like it was just flashbacks of how they met and everything like that or whatever, and her childhood and stuff like that. I thought it was like the weakest part of Daredevil season 2. And then with this series, I thought that the actress did a lot better with the character. I thought the actress did a lot better, but overall, I thought the character, like her motivation, because at first she's supposed to come back as a blank slate, right?
Mhm.
But then at a certain point, she just like utterly turns and just like, listen, I know who I am. I know what's going on here, and you're not gonna boss me around anymore. I've been bossed around by everybody, been told to do certain things my whole life. Stick was telling me I need to fight this war, and you're going out and commanding me to kill people and crap. I'm done with this crap. I have a hold of who I am, and that moment that you were basically referring to earlier, where she kills Alexandria, it's like, yo, it feels like a lot of these Netflix series are following a formula at this point,
Mm.
and I feel like in regards to Sigourney Weaver's character, I thought she like because you were telling me earlier you texted me earlier about something about the fact that pretty much her whole motivation and the motivation of everybody in the hand is basically to be
Is
immortal. They wanted
is
to be
yeah.
immortal. They wanted to stay alive, and they also wanted to get back to Kong Lao because the whole thing about the hand is just like Lucifer in heaven, just like they said in the show, they got kicked out of Kong Lao because they wanted to use this thing. They wanted to use this thing as they refer to in the series as the substance to keep them alive, right? And when they got to, and I think this is something that maybe you didn't understand, so I'm gonna try to clear this up for you and
Okay.
also for anybody who probably didn't understand it. Uh, Basically, when they got to Kung Lao, they were at different ages. So by the time they went to Kung Lao, once they got to Kung Lao and learned about the substance, they kept using that substance to live for thousands. Well, I won't say thousands, but they kept using the substance to live for hundreds of years or whatever, right? And so
Okay.
that's why you see these characters. You see these characters, the people in the hand, they're at different ages and stuff. They've all, it's to be assumed that they went to Kung Lao at a different age. Everybody went there at a
Yeah.
different age. And
Yeah.
so Sigourney Weaver, her character Alexandria, is the person that pretty much led the revolt. I guess revolt is the right word, but she's basically the leader. I felt like personally, because she didn't want to die, and she pretty much says that she's basically they kind of hint at the fact that she might have died before, that she died before that she came back, similar to how Electra came back with the substance. And so one of the things that I was kind of, because at first when they first introduced the character and stuff, and then she talked about how she came back to life, I was like, okay, well, why are you so afraid of dying again? But then when they start to explain that their whole purpose, like they want to stay alive, like it's all about immortality and it's all about getting back to Kung Lao because it's such a great place, you know.
Okay.
And I feel as though the character, like I feel like the villain. I don't want to say the villain was bad, but it's not the best that they've done with these Netflix
Kind of
series.
weak. Kind of weak, you would say.
I mean, I don't really want to discredit. I don't want to discredit Sigourney Weaver and her
I'm not.
performance.
I said she did what she could, what she got, and
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. For you, it was like she wasn't active enough. They did show off they showed off briefly that she kind of knew how to fight. She kind of knew how to handle herself. I guess it's more about her presence. Like you should fear her when she comes into the room. And I thought that she had that sort of presence about her. Like you should fear her. As soon as
Mhm.
she gets in the room, you need to be scared. Like you need to be scared for your life or whatever. I felt like she was good at betraying that. But yeah, like you said, maybe that character was a little weak. Maybe the villain was a little weak, and then once Elektra takes over, it's all about her wanting to get the substance, and then everybody else in the hand is like, we were following this chick. I don't know if he's gonna follow y'all. And it's like the other two dudes, they're in the hand. They're like, as soon as we get that substance, we need to kill her.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, like I kind of was, I was kind of referring to this earlier with Bakudo. I thought, man, Bakudo, the dude that played him, I don't think he's a very good actor. I think that the guy that plays, like, I think Bakudo was just like, I didn't really like the character that much in Iron Fist either. So I wasn't really jazzed about him coming back, about him being one of the fingers of the hand, so to speak. Madame Gao, as always, one of the best villains introduced in the Netflix MCU. I love Madame Gao throughout this entire thing, and I don't think that she's dead. I'll just say that I don't think that she's dead. And now I'm gonna go back to what you said earlier about Marvel basically, not keeping anybody dead, because by the end of the show, it's assumed that Matt is dead, and then surprise, he's not dead. And I already knew that he wasn't gonna die because for one thing, Marvel already said that they're gonna do a Daredevil season 3. So I'm like, they're not gonna kill Matt off. Also, let's just get this out of the way, because I'm starting to notice that Netflix, like these Netflix MCU shows, are starting to really kind of like, they follow a pattern. They're starting, and this show follows two patterns. It follows two formulas. It tries to follow the Avengers formula, and it follows the normal Netflix format. It follows the normal Netflix format that we've seen throughout all these shows. In all the Netflix shows, I've noticed this. I think maybe Daredevil's like, maybe Daredevil and Jessica Jones didn't do this, but Iron Fist and Luke Cage did this, where you think that the main villain for the season was going to be Cottonmouth. Then, surprise, Mariah goes crazy and kills Cottonmouth, and so the main villain is Shades and Black Mariah. And similar thing happened in Iron Fist also, with Ward's father, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just like they're following that same formula here with Elektra killing Alexandria. I'm like, when that scene happened, I'm like, why am I not surprised that she's not the main villain at this point? as soon as Sigourney Weaver is just up there screaming at her henchmen, look, remember, I just brought you Iron Fist. I've led y'all to the substance time and time again. I led y'all out of Kong Lao. Like y'all need to follow my orders. I said as soon as she started doing that, and the camera kind of, does that thing, where you can kind of tell that something about to happen to her,
Yeah.
Like, you can tell that somebody's about to go to the back of her, and just she's dead.
Yep.
She's dead. Like I wasn't really surprised by that. Whereas, seeing Mariah kill her brother Cottonmouth was more effective.
Oh yeah,
and then what happened in Iron Fist, that wasn't as, I mean, that wasn't really, I don't think that was as effective, or like you said, yeah, impactful. But here, I think that I'm just numb to that now. Like it wasn't too surprising. Like
because we've seen
the big twist wasn't it wasn't satisfying.
Because we've honestly seen this so many times in other superhero movies as is, especially, and Marvel's getting notorious for this shit now because we're at stage 3 now, and they have multiple movies spanning across what they've done this same thing. So yeah, it's no wonder you're numb to it already.
And then, like you were trying to say earlier about Matt Murdock. Can't even speak right now. Matt Murdock getting killed, or supposedly getting killed, and then like a few scenes later, we find out that he survived, and it's just like, okay, I already knew that he wasn't gonna die. 'Cause like I said, Marvel said they're gonna come out with Daredevil season 3, and
Yeah,
and
but
you can kind of tell that they're not gonna kill Matt Murdock. And guess
true.
what? Because like I said earlier, they're following the Avengers formula. Because throughout this entire show, for better or worse, they follow that same formula of, okay, we need to clash, we need to make these characters clash before coming together. And you can see that throughout a lot of these episodes. Luke Cage and Iron Fist kind of clashing. Jessica Jones and Matt Murdock clashing, and these characters constantly bickering among each other on the same side, but thinking that they can tackle the problem from a different angle or from a different perspective. And I feel like, because like I said, that is great. That is great from the Avengers playbook.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, if you remember, they act like Tony Stark wasn't going to come back in the Avengers. And then surprise, he's back from the war. He's back from the little hole. You remember, like can't even speak. The wormhole in the sky or whatever.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
remember that? And like at first you thought that, oh, he's dead. He's gonna die. Surprise, he's back. They did the same thing here with Matt Murdock.
But it's like, you had a fucking building on top of you.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
It's like, why are you part rat? Are you part rat? Is that some sort of special power?
I mean, maybe. Okay, well, here's my theory. Here's my theory of how
Yeah.
Matt Murdock survived that.
I want to hear this.
Because the substance was down there.
Oh my god.
Now remember, that substance was down there. They were trying to take the substance. They were trying to take the substance for themselves, right? But the substance was down there. So maybe him and Elektra are still alive.
That fucking bootleg Lazarus pit. I swear to goodness.
Yes.
It's the fucking Lazarus pit. We've been talking about
the first thing I thought of with this. Like when they showed the scene of how Elektra was brought back to life, I was like, are they gonna give this a name? Like, because this is basically the Lazarus pit from Batman.
I'm like, is Raish pissed? Is Raish pissed that y'all are trying to jack his stuff? Is this what's going on?
But nah, they just called it the substance. Y'all might as well just call it the Lazarus pit. Lazarus pit. That's all it really is.
I know, but I get it. I get it, and okay.
I mean, if there's a big criticism for this show, it's that it's very formulaic.
Yeah, because
if there's one big criticism for it, it's basically that's formulaic. It's formulaic, and I like. Here's the thing: do you think that the other series, because this is a complaint that a lot of people, that some people might have, do you think the other series were like too long?
Yeah, I'm kind of so on that. Kinda.
I mean, I can kind of understand. Maybe Luke Cage a little bit, and maybe Iron Fist. I mean, I understand it from a certain perspective, but you got to understand. Or another thing that I feel like people aren't really kind of grasping, maybe, is that people just naturally binge watch these shows. And so when you're trying to binge watch 13 episodes, maybe you shouldn't try to do that. Maybe you should just like space it out. Like I was able to get through all 8 episodes. I started at like 8 o'clock and I ended at, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 o'clock yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I was done. But at the same time, I felt like I wanted more. It's not to say that it was bad that I wanted more. It's not. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying that in a good way. That I wanted more. I wanted there to be another episode, and it was only 8 episodes. Man, I wanted to see more. I honestly wanted, because I think that was an issue for a lot of people. And Luke Cage were like, okay, Cottonmouth is done, or this character is done, or even an Iron Fist, like a certain character, or you would think like a certain arc is done. So like, okay, the show can be over now. But hold on. hold on, we still got about 2 or 3 more episodes to watch.
Yeah,
That means that something is gonna happen.
yeah.
So I can kind of understand people saying that maybe these shows are kind of bloated, and maybe this show kind of avoids that problem. But for me, I kind of felt like maybe it should have been 10 episodes, maybe.
At the very least 10. At the very most, at least 12. At least.
Because I think the other shows are about 13 episodes.
They are 13. Almost
Yeah,
every
I think 10 is the sweet spot.
almost every Netflix show is 13 episodes.
Castlevania is like 4.
Really?
Yeah, and I know another show is like 10 episodes. So I think it's just mostly Marvel and Netflix shows are kind of sticking to that 13 episode limit.
I think that's everything. I think that's everything. We now know Daredevil's part rat, or the this source. Just call it the Lazarus Pit, guys. Like, you're not fooling anyone.
Yeah, I really think that's the explanation of it. It's just like the substance was down there, because how else is he gonna get out?
The substance, the source. It's the Lazarus Pit. It's the Lazarus Pit. This is called what it is. This is called for what it really is. You guys somehow managed to get a hold of Ra's al Ghul's project.
Yeah, pretty much. So, any final thoughts about this? Anything else you wanted to cover?
I love the writing when it gets witty and when they're bantering with each other. I love the interactions with the characters. Yeah, overall, it was good. It was good. Danny need to get his shit together. Danny absolutely needs to get his shit together.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with this character.
But
it's like he's the door of this. Well, he's worse than Door. I mean, I love Door personally, but there's some people that don't like the character, that think he's whack. Like my brother-in-law thinks that he's whack. He's like, okay, this is the dude. Like he's just there for women in the audience, because they want this man to take his shirt off, basically.
But yeah. Just he needs to get his shit in order. But now that you mentioned that they might put a popular character and put those two together, like Nick Cage and Iron Fist together, they might do that WWE route where it's like, oh, we're supposed to like this guy that you guys say we're supposed to like, but we hate him. He gets booed. They will put someone who we actually like and put him with the guy that we're actually booing. So they will probably end up doing that to get the heat off.
That's basically what they're doing with Door, though.
Sure. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, they're bringing the Hulk because they got to get the Hulk in it. They putting the Hulk in the Door movie so people can go see it. I mean, personally, I like the Door movies, but that's another discussion for another day.
Yeah, it is. So overall, it was good. It was good. It was a fun ride. I do hope for season 2. I do hope for season 2.
There most likely will be a season 2. You know, hopefully we get the Ghost Rider. There's another character that a lot of people want to see. Moon Knight. I don't know anything about Moon Knight, but he sounds cool to me.
The name sounds very familiar. But
I think he's supposed to be like Marvel's Batman or something.
Oh, Lord. We got enough of that going on, man. we got enough of this shit, okay? One's a billionaire, one's blind, but he can still kick everybody's ass. He's basically the Batman of the group. One's the punching bag, one's a bald badass, and the other don't give a shit. We have enough. We have absolutely enough of these Batman tropes. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Overall good. You go.
Yeah, man. Like you said, I thought it was good. I mean, it left me wanting more. I mean, the only thing I could really say bad about it, outside of those transitions and the music playing only during the Luke Cage's scenes, which kind of brought me out of the show, maybe. was basically the weak villain. You know, the villains weren't as strong as they could have been, especially in comparison to Daredevil villains and Jessica Jones villain Kilgrave. And then, like I said, it just formulaic. For better or worse, it was very formulaic. But yeah, that's what I thought about the show. I thought it was good. You thought it was great. You thought it was a good show.
It
So
was good. It was good. Overall good.
yep. So let us know what you guys think. Thank you guys for listening to the spoiler cast. And like the video, subscribe. Hey, if you didn't like something that we said in the video, feel free to dislike the video. But uh, just do one or the other, and we'll see you guys next time. This has been
Interaction.
Negro Shoddy and Rex Sparks. We're out of here. Peace.